We live in one of the most paradoxical times in history. There has never been so much access to knowledge, so many learning opportunities, and so many possibilities for professional and financial growth. At the same time, it has never been easier to waste time, lose focus, and allow distractions to determine the course of one's own life. Every day we are bombarded by information, opinions, news, short videos, instant entertainment, and constant comparisons. Unbeknownst to them, many people spend years reacting to events instead of consciously building their own future. But first of all, if you don't know me yet, I am the digital avatar of Brian Mercer. What I bring to this channel is the mindset that generates real wealth. Your personal and financial evolution is our top priority. Follow the channel and start deciding like the greats. If you want to follow me on Instagram, the link is in the video description. The truth is simple, but few people have the courage to accept it. The greatest enemy of prosperity is not the lack of money. The greatest enemy of prosperity is the lack of direction. Those who do not know exactly where they are going will be taken anywhere. Those who wake up without priorities end the day solving other people's problems while their own dreams continue to wait. Those who live only by reacting to circumstances will hardly have time to build a different reality. That's exactly why developing focus has ceased to be just an important skill. Today, focus is a competitive advantage. When we observe the trajectory of soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo, we see one of the greatest examples of discipline in the history of sports. Many people only look at the titles won, the records broken, and the million-dollar contracts. However, almost no one notices what has truly sustained this career for decades. Cristiano Ronaldo never relied solely on talent. Talent opened doors, but it was discipline that kept those doors open. While many athletes would decrease their intensity after achieving success, he continued to train like someone who still needed to prove his worth. He kept perfecting details that most didn't even notice. He continued to invest in his own body, his own mind, and his own preparation. This behavior reveals a powerful truth. Success does not belong to those who start better. Success stays with those who keep evolving when everyone else slows down. This lesson applies to any profession. It applies to those who wish to start a business. It applies to those who want to invest. It applies to those who want to grow in their careers. It applies to those who dream of providing a better life for their families. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter how much money your parents had. It doesn't matter how many difficulties you faced. These factors influence the starting point, but they do not necessarily determine the end point. History is filled with people who started with practically no resources and built extraordinary wealth. What these people had in common was not luck. It was not a supernatural gift. It was not a hidden secret. They developed habits that most were never willing to practice. While many spent, they invested. While many complained, they studied. While many looked for blame, they took responsibility. While many waited for opportunities, they created opportunities. All wealth begins long before the first million. It starts with the decision to manage the first reel correctly. This is one of the biggest mistakes of those who wish to prosper, believing that financial education is only for those who already have a lot of money. In reality, financial education is precisely the path for those who do not yet have assets. Those who learn to manage a little will be prepared to manage a lot. Those who waste small amounts will normally waste large amounts when they arrive. Money only amplifies what you already are. If you are disciplined, more money will expand your ability to invest, undertake, and generate wealth. If you are impulsive, more money will only increase the size of your mistakes. Therefore, before asking how much you earn, ask another question. How do you manage what you already have? That answer reveals much more about your financial future than the amount of your salary. Many people live waiting for a raise in income to finally organize their finances. However, when that raise comes, expenses grow at the same speed. A more expensive car appears, a bigger house, new subscriptions, new loans, new commitments. The standard of living increases. Wealth remains practically the same. This cycle traps millions of people for decades. They work harder and harder just to maintain a lifestyle that demands more and more money. Financial freedom does not mean buying everything you want. Financial freedom means building a life where money stops controlling your decisions. Whoever controls their desires builds wealth. Whoever is dominated by them builds debt. Another fundamental aspect is learning to organize your tasks. Observe highly productive people. They do not perform dozens of important activities every day. They identify a few truly decisive tasks and execute those tasks with excellence. There is a huge difference between being busy and producing results. A full schedule does not mean a productive life. Responding to messages for hours does not mean building wealth. Participating in countless meetings does not mean growing professionally. Doing many small things rarely replaces doing a few really important things. Every morning, ask yourself, which activity performed today will bring my goals closer to reality? Then focus your best energy exactly on that activity. Do first what has the greatest impact. Protect this time as if it were an investment, because in fact, that's exactly what it is. Time invested wisely yields extraordinary returns. Wasted time can never be recovered. Imagine two friends of exactly the same age. Both have the same intelligence, both work at the same company, both earn practically the same salary. For 10 years, the first one dedicates an hour a day to studying, invests part of their income every month, learns new skills, develops emotional intelligence, and continuously improves their professional capacity. The second one uses that same time only consuming entertainment, complaining about the economy, blaming others for their own results, and postponing important decisions. After a decade, these two people will likely be living completely different realities. Not because luck chose one of them, but because small decisions repeated daily completely transformed their destinies. The future is not usually built by great events. It is built by small choices repeated over many years. Learning to ignore external noises is also part of this construction. We live surrounded by opinions. There will always be someone saying that your project won't work. There will always be someone claiming that you are dreaming too big. There will always be someone trying to convince you to stay exactly where you are. Often, these opinions come from people who have never built what they wish to criticize. Accepting advice from those who have never produced results is like asking for navigation directions from someone who has never left the port. This does not mean ignoring all criticism. On the contrary, smart critiques hold immense value. They reveal mistakes we haven't noticed yet. But there is a huge difference between a constructive critique based on experience and a negative opinion based solely on fear. Learn to distinguish one from the other. Your mind needs to be protected. Just as you don't allow anyone to enter your home, you shouldn't allow any negative thoughts to find a permanent place in your mind. The most successful people tend to be extremely selective about what they consume. They select the books they read, they select the conversations they have, they select the friendships, they select the environments, they select the content because they understood an extremely important truth. Everything that enters your mind influences, directly or indirectly, the decisions you will make in the future. Protect your mind with the same care you intend to protect your assets. There is another indispensable principle for those who wish to thrive. Take responsibility for your own life. While you believe that your results depend exclusively on the government, the economy, the company you work for, your family, or luck, you are handing over control of your own future to other people. Obviously, there are factors that are beyond our control. Economic crises happen, problems arise, injustices exist. However, even in these moments, there is still something that remains exclusively yours: your ability to decide what your next action will be. It is exactly there that the difference arises between people who remain stagnant and those who are able to grow even in difficult scenarios. They constantly ask questions. What can I do with the resources I have today? How can I increase my knowledge? How can I add more value to the market? How can I develop new skills? How can I create new sources of income? These questions completely change the direction of life. Those who look for excuses find justifications. Those who look for solutions find opportunities. Another extremely common mistake is believing that getting rich means only accumulating money. True wealth also includes knowledge, reputation, health, relationships, credibility, and the ability to continue creating value throughout life. A person can lose money and rebuild their fortune, but if they have lost discipline, ethics, and knowledge, the reconstruction will be much more difficult. Continuously invest in yourself. No investment offers a greater return than developing skills that no one can take away from you. Books, courses, experiences, languages, communication, leadership, financial education, these assets accompany you throughout your life. The market changes, professions evolve, technologies transform, but those who develop the ability to learn continuously will always find new opportunities. Your greatest asset is not what you own, it is what you are capable of producing. Never underestimate the power of consistency. Many people give up just before the results appear. They plant for a few months, they do not reap immediately, they conclude that the effort was not worth it, they abandon the process. The problem is that almost all great achievements have an invisible period. You study for months before the promotion. You invest for years before compound interest accelerates your wealth. You train daily before performance impresses. You venture for a long time before the business reaches stability. Those who understand this principle develop patience. Those who develop patience keep moving. Those who keep moving inevitably increase their chances of winning. In the end, the true legacy will not be defined solely by the money you accumulated. It will be defined by the person you became during that journey, by the discipline you developed, by the knowledge you acquired, by the examples you left for your family, by the opportunities you created for others, by the courage to keep going when no one believed, by the humility to keep learning even after the first achievements. Build a life that makes sense. Build habits that strengthen your character. Build wealth in an ethical way. Build knowledge every day. Build relationships based on trust. Build a legacy that can provide freedom for future generations. And above all, build a mindset that never allows circumstances to define who you can become. The world rewards people who take responsibility, master their habits, protect their focus, and turn knowledge into action. Remember a truth that will remain valid regardless of the economy, technology, or changes in the world. Your future will be determined much less by the talent you were given and much more by the choices you decide to repeat every day. This is exactly how a legacy is built. One right decision at a time, one consistent habit at a time, one smart investment at a time, one book at a time, one step at a time, until one day people look at your journey and see only the result. But you will know that the true secret was never in an extraordinary moment. It has always been in the silent discipline you chose to practice when no one was watching. Did you like the video? Leave a like, it helps me create great content like this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if your goal is growth. See you later.